Coming up tonight on YCN News, a member of the New Hampshire State Senate Finance Committee speaks out about energy funds. In Chester, Vermont, voters approve a new water pipeline and water tank. And Vermont State Police ask the public's help in finding the cause of a tractor-trailer crash. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN News, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, May 20th. I'm Laura James. Welcome to YCN News. A New Hampshire State Senate Democrat is speaking out against his Republican colleagues for raiding dedicated energy funds. Senator Andrew Hosmer of Laconia is a member of the Senate Finance Committee, and today, in a 4-2 vote with GOP senators prevailing, the Finance Committee voted to take $2,220,000 out of the Renewable Energy Fund. That's $2.2 million will now be used instead to fund the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. In a statement, Hosmer said last week the Senate Finance Committee voted to restore the Renewable Energy Fund after House Republicans removed money from the Energy Fund for spending issues elsewhere. Hosmer objects to what he calls budget raiding. Without the benefit of a public hearing, Hosmer says Senate Republicans voted to reverse course and took back the money they had restored last week. Hosmer says the House and Governor Maggie Hassan's budget planned for the money to be in the Renewable Energy Fund, which helps the state's small businesses succeed. Voters in Chester, Vermont approved a $4 million bond to ensure the town's water supply is available for residential and commercial use. The bond will pay for a new pipeline and a second water tank, that according to the Eagle Times. And passage of the bond gives the town the go-ahead to buy a 139-acre parcel of land privately owned by Mike and April O'Neill. Voters' approval at the polls before June 1st also means the state will help fund the project cost. A Brattleboro, Vermont man with earlier drug convictions is back in police custody, charged with violating his furlough conditions by staying at a residence where another man now charged with murder also was. In a press release, state police update investigation into the murder of former Springfield, Vermont resident Wesley Wing. Wing was allegedly shot by suspect Gregory Smith, also of Springfield, on April 18th, and Smith is charged by law enforcement with Wing's death. He's being held without bail. During this continuing investigation, police determined that 29-year-old Joshua Stratton was on furlough through the Brattleboro Probation Office for previous drug charges. One of Stratton's furlough conditions was that he could not leave the state of Vermont. It was determined Stratton had left Vermont and was in Keene, New Hampshire, at a residence that Gregory Smith was at on April 18th, the day Wing died. Stratton is being held in the Springfield jail after Brattleboro Probation and Parole revoked his furlough on May 6th. Stratton is now in the Southern State Correctional Facility in Springfield, Vermont. Now, continuing with Vermont news, state police are looking for the public's help in providing any information that led to 2 tractor trailers crashing yesterday afternoon on Interstate 91 south of Guilford, Vermont. Both drivers were wearing seat belts at the time. 25-year-old Adam Parker of Albany, Vermont, was traveling southbound in his tractor trailer when a beige-colored camper van entered the passing lane, cutting off Parker, police report said in a press release. To avoid colliding with the camper, Parker was forced to swerve into the primary lane. In doing so, he forced 68-year-old Stephen Langlois of Orange, Massachusetts, to swerve the tractor trailer he was driving into the passing lane. Langlois' truck began to jackknife, collided into the median, and came to rest in the center of I-91 South. Langlois was brought to Brattleboro Memorial Hospital, where he was treated and later released with a fractured wrist. Southbound traffic from Exit 1 was temporarily closed and routed down U.S. Route 5 while a tow company removed the disabled tractor trailer. Now, a dash camera in Parker's tractor trailer showed a beige camper, unknown registration, enter his lane without signaling and then enter a U-turn to travel north. Langlois' truck was totaled with substantial front end damage. Parker's truck was moderately damaged. State police are requesting anyone with information about this incident to please contact Trooper Dan Bennett of the Brattleboro Barracks at 254-2328. Well, coming up on YCN News, State Police plan for a busy Memorial Day weekend, a decrease in electric rates in New Hampshire, and in local softball action, Mike Pizzone has the results of a matchup between Newport and Fall Mountain, New Hampshire. News, sports, and a check on weather, too, all coming up when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. Well, by land, by air, or sea, state police in New England states will maintain a visible presence this Memorial Day weekend. A major focus will be on reducing dangerous speeds by drivers or motorcyclists, plus other moving violations, such as not signaling before changing lanes. So please drive safely to enjoy the weekend. And in the Upper Valley, night work continues at the intersection of 3 streets in Lebanon, Bridge, North Main, and Dana Streets. This upgrading is set for tonight through early tomorrow morning. Water, sewer, and drainage lines are being repaired. Paving work will also be done from 6 p.m. to midnight. And if anyone has any questions concerning this work, you can contact Lebanon Public Works at 603-448-3112. As we head toward the unofficial start of the summer season, it looks like customers of the New Hampshire Electric Cooperative are now paying less for electricity. Effective this month, the typical residential member will see an overall bill decrease of 20.3%. The May rate change is the result of a 44% decrease in the co-op power rate from 11.6 cents per kilowatt hour to 6.5 cents per kilowatt hour. The rate reductions were approved March 31st by the New Hampshire Electric Cooperative Board of Directors and signal an end to a winter period that saw residential bills increase by 12.2% in October of 2014. Now, driving these wide price swings are seasonal variations in the price of natural gas, which is used to generate approximately half of the electricity produced here in New England. Well, coming up on YCN News with the summer season approaching, here's an interview you don't want to miss. There is a professor of exercise and sports science from Colby Sawyer College who Kearsarge Chronicles' Lynn Solomon will have a conversation coming up with in just a moment when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. Well, it felt more like fall out there than the end of spring, but we should see some slightly warmer weather as we approach the second half of the week. Temperatures will bottom out right around the freezing mark tonight with a low of just about 32 degrees, but the sun will be back out tomorrow with mostly sunny skies and a high of about 70. Skies will remain partly cloudy tomorrow evening with a low of 47, before another mostly sunny day Friday, bringing with it a high of 63 degrees and a low of about 36 Friday evening. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to see what's happening in the area. The Claremont Farmers Market will open the 2015 season tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Broad Street Park in Claremont, New Hampshire. Local vendors will be selling meats, eggs, organic and non-organic produce, and much more. The market will be held rain or shine. Music students at Springfield High School will hold their spring concert tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the high school auditorium in Springfield, Vermont. Admission is free, though donations are accepted. The Claremont Eagles Club on Washington Street in Claremont, New Hampshire will host a karaoke night on Friday at 7 p.m. All are welcome to attend. Call the number on the screen for more information. The Fall Mountain softball team was up against a familiar opponent in its final home game of the regular season, and despite a strong start defensively, the result ended up being all too familiar. The Tigers won by 6 runs when the teams met in Newport earlier this month, but Fall Mountain hung tough early in yesterday's rematch before letting things slip away to the tune of a 14-1 defeat. Newport took a 3-0 lead into the 5th inning, only to add 5 more runs in the frame behind some timely hitting with runners on base. Stacia Dame made it 6-0 when this double down the left field line plated Stephanie Carl, before Kristen Kibbe's single here plated Dame and Kendall Hamilton to up Newport's lead to 8-0. The Wildcats answered with a run of their own in the home half of the inning, when this bunt by Clara Miller resulted in an errant throw that allowed Peyton Alberg to score from second. Unfortunately for Fall Mountain, however, the Tigers scored 6 more times in the top of the 6th and shut the home team out in the bottom of the inning to clinch an early victory by way of New Hampshire's 12-run mercy rule. Carl led the Tigers with 3 hits on the day, while Emma Carroll added 2, including this well-executed bunt. Carl also led the way from the circle, surrendering 1 unearned run on just 1 hit in a complete game effort. She also struck out 9. Sarah Marsden pitched well for the Wildcats, allowing 4 earned runs on 7 hits and 2 walks in 4 1/3 innings. I spoke with Newport coach Sam McNeil after the game, who said that while certainly happy with the win, he wasn't exactly impressed with his team's slow start.
Their pitcher kept the girls off balance a little bit. Right now for us, it's just a matter of the girls want to turn switches on and off. They think they can just come out here because we blew them out the first time, that it was going to be an automatic this time. Unfortunately, we did the same thing against Messinic. We come off a big win, and then all of a sudden, our bats aren't there, and we lose a close one to Messinic. Then we come back, and we put together 16, 17 hits and a blowout, and then we come over here, and we struggle, and then all of a sudden, the last few innings, put it together. What I just talked to the girls about is we got to stop that. We have 3 games left before playoffs, and we need to hit that high. We got to stay steady. If we hit that high on Friday, we have to carry that into Monday, next Thursday, and then the first round of the playoffs.
The Tigers improved to 9-4 with a second straight win and will travel to face Hinsdale on Friday. Fall Mountain is now 6-8 and will travel to face Raymond tomorrow. The Hanover baseball team crossed the plate with 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning yesterday to turn a 1-run deficit into a walk-off win over Manchester West. Will Smith and Moises Salia each drove in runs in the decisive 8th inning, while Connor Stafford earned the win from the mound with 2 1/3 solid innings of relief. The Marauders improved to 5-8 with their 4th win in their last 5 games and will travel to face Wyndham tomorrow. The Bellows Falls girls tennis team came away with a pair of wins over Springfield yesterday in what was the team's final matches of the regular season. Regan Lipinski led the Terriers with wins in both of her singles matches on the day, while doubles teammates Keisha Wilcox and Tessa Bynorth also earned a pair of wins. Bellows Falls ends its regular season schedule at 4-9 and will await its seed for the upcoming Division II tournament. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Thank you so much, Mike. Capital Connections host John O'Connor is talking about an academic visit to Africa. John's interview is coming up when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.